Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me have some more RPG horror stories. I've seen some comments about the fact that I have a beard, but Morrow doesn't have a beard, and I should put a mustache or a beard on Morrow to become like evil Morrow. It's Morrow, but as soon as he has a mustache, he's evil. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Edgelord DM. Going to be a bit of a short post here since I wasn't in this campaign long. DM is that kind of a dark and gritty. The kind that includes incest and child murders and gross out. Of course, because we can't have any other flavor of edgy. It has to be child murder and gross out. What can we have like dark and edgy, like nihilism, dark and edgy? Maybe it's goth? I don't think it's really edgy. I think it's more goth, like nothing really matters. The world is screwed up anyway. I'm just living in it kind of thing. I feel like that's a little bit more, I mean, it's still edgy, not really mature either. But at least it's better than just like child senseless murder, horrible gross things for the sake of gross things. You know, that can be a little bit crass and drab. He introduces an obvious villain Sue. The villain Sue! I've never heard that before. That this changeling bard rogue jester, the worst kind of multi-class. Haven't seen a single one that wasn't a painfully unamusing edgelord, but that's a story for another day. The character essentially acts like Vivzy Pop wrote him. There's a shock value scene where the character kills a 14-year-old girl by making her into some kind of human balloon animal, described in disgusting detail, bringing to mind some sort of messed up fetish story you'd find in DeviantArt or some crap. Then the actual fight begins. DM starts showing his whole ass. Let's do a rundown. The character uses bullcrap magical artifact that can insta-kill a PC if they don't roll a ridiculously high save. The character has 3 actions and 2 turns for some stupid reason. DM constantly gloats and overall acts like an arrogant middle schooler with his obvious power scaling. Later in the fight, the character becomes ethereal, so of course none of us could hit him, and does a bullcrap move to basically use PCs as marionettes with a ridiculously high save because of freaking course. Dude, I've played with a DM like that. They make the boss fights like nearly unkillable and impossible to fight. Multiple actions, several mythic actions, layer actions, extra actions, make it up actions, and a spot actions, 2 reactions. There was one session, it was like the end chapter session. I covered it before in a special video. Maybe it'll get released one day. And that one campaign I made an RPG horror story about, there was the one DM that had, I swear to God, there was a monk enemy. I think it was like a drow or something, I don't know, but he was basically like a monk, astral self monk, and he used deflect missile, a monk ability. Well, not deflect attack, but he used deflect missile, you know what, not on a missile, but on, I think, psychic lance. I think he literally used a reaction to take the psychic lance spell and throw it back at the wizard descended at him, which to me is insane. I mean, on one hand, it could be like a power move because like, oh my god, he could do something cool like that, especially if it was limited. But no, he could just do it on basically every attack and had multiple reactions to opportunity attack at anybody. And of course, he had Sentinel. He had all these other crazy things because of course they do. Because these kind of DMs don't make a character that is fun to fight against and fun for the players to battle and contest with. They want to make a DMPC enemy that can win. I know I'm calling it DMPC, I know it's an NPC, but basically, like the OP said, it's the villain Sue. It's the Mary Sue and Gary Stew of their campaign, and it has to be a bad guy that has to win, has to conquer the party, because the DM is not playing with players, they're playing against the players. They want to win the combat. They don't want to make it fun and exciting and make it really sweaty for the players. They are here to win at all means necessary. Making the character ethereal again with 3 actions, making them have abilities that have impossible saves completely, because of course they're not here to play, they're here to win D&D, I guess. I fudged the roles because I was getting freaking tired of this crap at that point. If he can bend the rules, then I can too. We were running short in time because this turn take forever, so his character tried to screw off. I have joked, I wasn't really joking at all, that my character's level 20 Archfey patron cast Plane Shift to send the changeling to the 9 Hells to get eaten by worms right after I cast Mental Prison. Honestly, after all that nonsense DM pulled, he's lucky I didn't think of something worse. I don't mind challenging encounters. What bothers me is frequently unfair encounters where it's freaking obvious the DM is just on a power trip. Yes, those kind of encounters suck because the DM is not playing with you guys, they're playing against you guys, they're playing to win in this encounter. To play to win, you play with your party and you cheer on the party by putting them in difficult challenges, and you don't cheer for your bad guy whenever they take down one of your players or really knock them down a peg or anything. When I put up a challenging fight for my players, I'm doing this not because I want to win as the specific enemy villain whatever. I want my party to succeed. I want to be triumphant. I want them to win. I want to fight to feel challenging and put them under pressure and make them feel like they really gotta like fully amp up for it and try their best to strategize together and work as a team. To give them heroic moments. Like the other day, I had a group of players that were literally fighting one of the story characters from one of my players that came from the far eastern desert lands beyond the dunes that are available there. And he was like this super mechanized orc that could make some crazy inventions like a flamethrower great hammer and stuff, or like a saw blade crossbow. And whenever he broke out of his armor, he was able to just move around really fast and punch enemies and stuff. It was just really tough fight. But it gave the party a momentous occasion to try to strategize against the guy and try to pin him down or hold him strong and try to take him down with everything they got, and even have heroic moments where Barbarian goes to 0 HP, falls down, goes unconscious, and the bard has to run over with a magical potato, stick it into a Barbarian's mouth, give him 8 HP and bringing it back up from the brink of death. God, it was so good. And then when the party finally took the guy down, they had this momentous occasion where they're working together to chip down at the guy and finally take the final shot, finishing him off. And it was glorious. It was great and amazing. And I was happy to see my players succeed, because I want to see my players succeed, because I have fun whenever they have fun. And if they have fun fighting a really fun, challenging fight and they feel good about it and tell me that was so much fun. Thank you so much, Morrow, for running this. This was such a blast to do. That makes me feel so good. I'm not making encounters to screw my players or trying to make them like lose to a specific fight. I want them to just encounter a challenge, go through the challenge, and have fun defeating the challenge together. To me, that is my favorite part of DMing. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the DM is making an encounter where they're specifically trying to win the encounter and win D&D and playing against the players instead of with the players, it's probably a really bad DM and should probably avoid them like the plague. Let's move on to the next story for today. "Why are you attacking me?" said the flying cleric, throwing holy fireballs. This one I wouldn't say was that bad, but it was stupid to the point of being funny. Some details you should know before I tell you the tale. I'm Spanish, I do what I can with English, sorry if this type was a misspelling. Second, I know the guy I'm going to talk about for like a decade. This is the party. We'll call him Ash. The problem player had an ASMR cleric. Vivi, she's a half-elf sorcerer that used dice and cards as her themes. We call this one Miko. She had a Haragon warlock bonded to a mass of fairies in the shape of killer bunnies. And the one we'll call Black, who has a soldier, gun and all. So the quest is to defeat this racist imperial general that wants all non-humans dead, a traitor to his empire that only respects his empress, who is not interested on stopping him. This is not some child with a little squad. This is an experienced general with a gun, with magic armor, with a full army that follows his values. All of this will be important for the explanation. They advance through the battlefields, small group dealing with soldiers, and everybody but Ash notices something obvious. The soldiers act like soldiers. They make sure nobody touches the archers or mages. They try to ambush them. They corner them and start attacking. They're strategic and play dirty. When they start relying on any strategy, the army simply adapts. The party really loved this, because though never fully prepared, felt more real. Except for Ash. Ash was a good guy, but also a min-maxer that expected everything to be his way at times. His cleric could fly and throw fireballs around, so obviously the army adapted and squads had way more archers, focusing on the flying cleric, while infantry was keeping the party busy, because he would just keep spamming the fireballs and wonder why the archers would only shoot at him. I don't know, man. Whenever I'm playing as Morrow and I'm just kind of in the backline, I know as a hexblade I probably shouldn't be in the backline, but sometimes I just like to be in the backline just casting Eldritch Blast. Of course I'm gonna have enemies that are gonna be attacking me. If I was an army general and I saw somebody that's in the backline basically casting fireballs to blow away the soldiers, I'll probably be like, yo, get some archers on the fireball caster over there quickly, because that makes sense. As an army, as soldiers, they have strategies, they have tactics. So we use the tactics, and one of the tactics is grab a longbow and just blink away over at the cleric in the back that's flinging fireballs everywhere. Maybe you should probably change up your tactic. Maybe you should find a way to set up some sort of protective nesting for yourself, or maybe try some sort of ambush tactics where you can cast some other spells other than fireball. Maybe mix up your whole kit, your whole repertoire. Maybe some other spell would be more useful in a situation, or to affect the back line in particular, so you're not getting attacked by a bunch of bowmen from the back line that can actually physically see you and try to hit you. I don't know, man. If the soldiers are using strategy, maybe strategize as well. Mix up your strategy. Make them think on their feet a little bit more, you know, change things up a little bit. Don't be a one-trick pony. That might be a good suggestion, honestly. Like, dude, the rest of the party doesn't have that output and can't fly. The soldiers are not idiots. You think they're going to focus on a coward illusionist sorcerer or something? That's what I told him when he started complaining. The complaints were also constant and had this very bad undertone of trying to push the rest of the party to complain too, which only caused that. First, Black started to laugh about him non-stop. Even when I tried to turn the topic serious again, Black just couldn't, because the complaint was very dumb, which I get considering Black fell on his face 3 times already in a campaign from getting surrounded. Second, Vivi just straight up said no to his attempt to bring her into complaining too. She liked things as they were, and she perfectly understood why an army would focus the constant spam of fireballs from the sky. Miko was of the jokey type too. She started making sarcastic comments about the situation like, "Oh no, you're flying and they're using the only possible way of stopping you. What will we do?" On my side, I was trying to keep it serious, stopping the table for a moment and explain myself on my reasoning to Ash multiple times. Yes, as kindly as I could, and made sure the rest shuts up, at least for the first 3 attempts. Before Vivi tried to help me explain it, Ash's response was always the same. "I was just joking, but this fight is unfair though. Why the archer's only attacking me?" Well, probably because the soldiers are busy fighting everybody else as well. There's probably a spellcaster on the side that's trying to deal with Vivi, I think, the sorcerer. And oh, look at that! It's a flying ASMR cleric that's charging a fireball. Oh, fireball is gonna go towards soldiers. Should we ignore the giant flying, obviously easy to spot ASMR in the sky flinging fireballs? Or should we just not worry about him and attack the rest of the party? I wonder what we should do. It's obvious. Just because you expect the NPCs and enemies to be stupid doesn't mean they are going to be stupid. They're an army. They probably have orders and marches, and they're specifically following orders and following strategy and protocol in situations like this. And if they have somebody as artillery firing at them, they'll probably want to counter fire at the artillery firing at the soldiers. It's only fair. If you're fighting at somebody that's smart and has actual reasoning to utilize strategy, then that's what you get. I don't know what you expect from the DM. You're the biggest, brightest thing in the sky, flinging fireballs. What are they supposed to do? Just not look up in the sky? Gamers don't look up kind of thing? No, that just sounds silly. After a few attempts of making it look unfair with no luck on his side, he started to tantrum about how this is how D&D should work and trash talking about other times where unfair things happened to him, like trying with another character to loot the treasure of a rich and famous sorcerer that was known for being the arch nemesis of someone they called King of Thieves, and getting a trap to the face and dying without a way to be revived because disintegrate. I think that nobody else attempted, or they expected bad results. He left the table for a while. He did learn from this after time, but it was kind of funny. We do laugh about it in times, though he still tries to reason to me in a lighthearted way that I was focusing too much on him, just to then tell me now he is planning on beating his 100 damage in 1 attack record. If he expects just to do free damage with just being ignored completely, that's kind of not how it's gonna work. Like, especially if you're fighting smart enemies. If, let's say, for example, you're fighting really dumb constructs that have a specific order, wait till enemy near, attack enemy, otherwise wait, that'd be one thing. But he's fighting soldiers, an army that have strategy, that have training, that have commands, that have chain of commands, that can be commanded by a commander. Maybe he should probably focus on taking out the commander so that the rest of the soldiers go in a scramble because they're not being commanded and ordered around, so they kind of lose a lot of the tactics and maybe somebody has to take over. But, you know, kind of break the chain of command, find different ways to ambush them, guerrilla warfare, you know, go full guerrilla warfare. Clerics have more things I mean, I'm guessing you play like a light cleric, so that's why I have fireball, but clerics have more things than just whatever the main spells they get. I get fireball is really cool, and being able to be an ASMR that flies around and flings fireballs at everybody is cool as well, but you got to change up the strategy a little bit. Have you considered doing that? That might be a better idea, I think, in my opinion, my humblest opinion as an idiot tiefling. But I don't know, I don't think DM did anything wrong. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'm gonna get to the next story for today. A character concept so edgy it was entertaining. This happened a few years ago. I was a GM looking for players on LFG. Big mistake, I know. The campaign was a simple module and I got a lot of applicants. One of them seemed nice and he gave me a character idea that was an unremarkable paladin. I decided to invite him to the game. But wait, he says, I'm actually applying with a friend. So I asked to talk to the friend first. The other person wants to play a warlock. And when I asked what subclass, he sends me a Google Doc of his homebrew ideas. It was completely ridiculous and overpowered. Highlights. The subclass was called My Eyes Only See the Darkness in People's Hearts, or something along those lines. All of the names were flowery, overlong, and written like a goth teenager's journal. I'm probably getting a lot of the wording details wrong, but I did not think to get screenshots in time. Typically as a warlock for subclasses you have like a creature that you get your powers from. the Celestial Warlock, the Fey Warlock, the Fiend Archfey Warlock, the Fiend Warlock, you know, that sort of thing. The eyes are the only thing that I see in Warlock is like a little bit confusing. Would you mind changing that up a little bit? The subclass focused on a Warlock having demonic eyes with lots of descriptions on how they change color and patterns whenever certain powers are used. Apparently they glow red when caster is angry, or cry tears of blood when he is sad. Ew. Yo, hold on a second. If you want to do some sort of weird eye magic, just grab a cantrip called Thaumaturgy. Guess what? Baseline tieflings. Not specific like bloodline tiefling, but baseline tieflings from D&D 2014. Guess what they get? They get Thaumaturgy as a free cantrip to cast whenever. And guess what Thaumaturgy can do? It can change your eye color. So if you want to be angry, use Thaumaturgy to change your colors to be pitch black. If you're sad and crying, you can change your eye color to look like bloodshot red or something, or just pure blood. You can do some crazy things with Thaumaturgy. It's all great for roleplay, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you just want to have Thaumaturgy as a cantrip as part of your starting class, should have just asked for that, I think. It probably would have solved things way easier than this specific strange feature. I get the players trying to be like 3 edgy me and stuff, but like, it just seems really silly and cartoony to me. Let's continue. Right from the jump, the subclass can copy any spells the caster sees. So on a limited spell list, not only that, but if he sees someone casting a spell, he can try to cast the same spell on them first as a reaction. There was a power called the Black Flames of Anguish or something, where the caster can burn someone with an indistinguishable fire, do a bunch of fire damage every turn, and nothing can stop this except the caster. The description mentions the fire burn as dark as my tortured soul. something Anthrax lyrics. Okay, this is actually jailing kind of funny. There is such thing where you go to edgy, like 3 edgy me to the point where it's a little bit comical. Honestly, I would love if somebody were to put together a 2 edgy subclasses kind of book where every subclass is written in such an edgy way for the sake of the funny, but was well designed. I think it'd be hilarious. It'd be great for flavor. Another power allowed him to pull the target and himself into a sort of pocket dimension with a time dilation active. So you could torture someone for 3 days of subjective time while only 1 turn passed in initiative order. There was also a bit about the victims being punished for the many sins against me. I'm pretty sure you stole that idea from Ghost Rider. There were some other powers I don't recall as well, like being able to form a magical giant skeleton body around himself that makes him untargetable, and the capstone ability was some attack that could permanently seal anyone's soul, effectively insta-killing them. And of course, there were a bunch of overpowered bonuses to various skills. He also included the character backstory. The Warlock is from Japan XP, of course, has a pet raven that follows him around. His character arc was a revenge plot about finding a guy who killed his family. My only surprise at that point was that the main weapon his character used was not a katana. I bet that took restraint. So I said to the player, if this isn't a joke, you need to pick a subclass that isn't homebrew. He pitched a fit, asked, why don't you want me to pick this subclass, a couple of times, and eventually said he and the first guy who applied won't be playing in the campaign. This is a man in his 20s acting like this. This is still the second worst character idea I've ever been pitched, mostly because it didn't include any sexual content. I bet the character would come with some sort of sexual content with like cringe flirting and trying to use their evil dark eye powers to try to seduce any wench they see, and they have to follow their demands or else they die forever and burn eternally and pay for the sins of the fathers and sons against me kind of thing. Good lord. Okay, well that was a nice way to end for these RPG horror story reading and to find something comical at the end. Also, yeah, the OP deleted their account. I'm assuming it was a throwaway account or something. I'm not fully sure. But either way, that was a nice little change up from a bunch of chaotic stories going on and crazy stuff happening. That's kind of nice. I wish we had more stories like this where we can kind of laugh at the absurdity. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.